Welcome to the Clarity Podcast, where we inspire listeners to live life by design and not by default. Today, I'm honored to welcome Jessica Berg, a work-life integration coach dedicated to helping professionals gain clarity and fulfillment in their careers and their lives. Jessica's journey took a turn from being stuck, burnt out, and overwhelmed to discovering meaning, impact, and results, all by prioritizing her personal fulfillment. She now empowers leaders and professionals, particularly in the corporate and tech spaces, to reconnect with themselves, redefine success, and create lives that align with their core values. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So Jessica, your work focuses on helping professionals achieve work-life integration. Can you share how you've personally found clarity and fulfillment in your career?
Yeah, for me, so as a working mom, before I became a mom, I was striving for going up the corporate ladder, hitting success, having financial milestones. And then when I added being a mom into that, I was burning the candle at both ends. And the pivotal moment for me was when I realized that I was going after this vision of success that had a dollar sign. And it was the only thing that I had ever known that I was to measure success by, was to hit a certain financial threshold. And when I was hitting certain thresholds across my career, I never really felt fully fulfilled. If anything, I felt more drained, more empty. And then I was constantly looking for more. And when I stopped to take a pause and really ask myself, well, what is the measures of success? Because right now I find myself to be in financial wealth, but the other areas of my life, my personal wealth, my physical wealth, emotional wealth, mental wealth, it was suffering. So I wasn't even able to really enjoy that financial milestones that I had hit. So I really started to redefine, what are my KPIs for success that goes beyond the dollar sign. The dollar sign can still be part of it, but it's really to encompass whole success of our lives.
And what was that catalyst moment for you where you're like, okay, my financial wealth is there, but all these other places that are in my life are not in that same level? What was that?
I had experienced a couple burnouts over the course of my career, but the worst was in early 2020. I was working 12-hour days for weeks on end. And that was kind of a constant. And I was always looking for that light at the end of the tunnel. But then when I got to the end of the tunnel, there was just another tunnel for me to go down. And I remember I was sitting at the dinner table and I had my computer because I had emails that I had to answer. And my son came up to me, drew me a picture. And it was the picture that he drew me was him and I standing in the rain. And he had an umbrella over my head to protect me from the storm and to protect me from being unhappy. And at that moment, it really was eye-opening to me that the pace at which I was operating in, one, it wasn't sustainable, but two, it was impacting the areas of my life that mattered most. And so I literally took that picture, went upstairs, thanked him, but went upstairs, and then I curled into the fetal position on my floor and just bawled my eyes out because I was like, what in the hell? How am I here? When I first entered corporate world in my early 20s, I was like, I'm going to work to live. I'm just going to have a job that allows me to, go out and hang out on the weekends and travel. And then all of a sudden, over the course of adulthood, that flipped significantly, where I was all of a sudden fitting living into the pockets of life that work allowed. And that was robbing me of my life in general. So from that moment forward, I promised myself, for myself and for my children, that I would change because I would never regret anything more than missing out on the years that I had with them that I gave up.
So there was a moment of reflection, and then there was a moment of decision based off what's important, who's important, and what's in alignment. So for professionals who have dealt with this or who are currently going through this, what steps can they practically take to start moving in a direction that's authentic, alignment, and that they're not dropping the balls of life that are important?
Well, the first step is awareness, because if you are continuously just grinding and you're not lifting up your head to take a pause and step back and be like, is this the life that I want to be living? Is this how I want to be experiencing my days? Then you're just going to keep going in autopilot. But the first step is awareness, to really take a step back and allow yourself to ask the difficult questions. And those questions are often against what we've been taught in our childhood. And those questions also often negate what we've inherited from our, past generations of parents or caregivers who inflict their beliefs and fears and experiences on us. So it's allowing yourself to ask those questions. And then once you find those answers, allowing yourself to pursue a successful path that is truly aligned to what matters most to you. Because you might find that this corporate grind is not for you. And there might be something else that you've always dreamed of doing, but you've held yourself back because of fear for going after the unknown. Or you might find that there's just a different type of balance that you need in your life. So it's really allowing yourself to ask the questions and then move forward from there.
Ask the questions, move forward, and then see what's in alignment. Now, you have an upcoming masterclass on boundaries. Can you share like a preview of what listeners and attendees might expect from this?
Yes. So the name of it is Ditch the Damn Grind. I was hesitant to put to curse in it, but then I thought, you know what? That's very relevant to how it feels, because the sprinting through the days has become such a norm. And especially coming out of COVID, I feel like corporate is in overdrive to try to, like, the work-life balance is so out of whack that it's worse than I feel that it's ever been from what I've seen and what I've felt. So everyone that resonates with this masterclass, they're really just sprinting through their days. They're waking up, they wake up with the fat elephant of anxiety on their chest on what's to come. And then they're going from maybe like getting kids out the door to work, to kids, to work, to resting their head. It's just a nonstop sprint. So this masterclass, I am guaranteeing that if you join it, I am going to help you identify 5 hours within your week that you can clear up and reclaim. And the key here is to create more space in your days, because I don't know, David, if you're familiar with like graphic design, but you know the term like white space and how with artists, we're always encouraged to have white space. Or if you're putting together PowerPoint presentations, you want to have white space because the reader's eye is going to be going towards certain things. So my concept is that same application applies to your life and how you experience your days, because you can't just be in back-to-back meetings. You can't be in back-to-back movement. Your nervous system is going to be fried in an overdrive. So you have to create more space in your days so that you can have that pause for your overall well-being, and so that you can actually make time to do stuff that fuels you and fulfills you, both at work and at home. Like if you're in back-to-back meetings and you're not giving yourself the time to actually do the stuff that feels meaningful and impactful, you're not going to have fulfillment in your job. And at home, same thing. You're not need to prioritize the stuff that's going to fuel you. It starts with having space in your days. So that's what this masterclass is going to do, is we're going to look at we're going to do a time audit. It's more of a workshop. And I've done my fair share of masterclasses, webinars, and I am adamant about any masterclass or workshop that I put out there that it's going to be a good use of the individual's time, because that is the most valuable asset that we have in our lifetime. So if you are going to sit down with me for an hour, I want it to be something that you walk away with something tangible. So we're going to workshop by doing a time audit of your day. We're going to do an energy audit to see what you can delegate, what you can eliminate, and what fuels you. And the parts that fuel you become your non-negotiable. And then from there, we're really going to start to lean into allowing yourself to prioritize and fill that space with the stuff that fuels you. Because a lot of times we are operating in the pace of our mind. So when we have a blank slate of time that's freed up, we want to fill it with productivity. But it's really starting to embrace the mindset that, okay, this doesn't need to be productive, because rest is proactive productivity. And it's allowing yourself to kind of get into that mindset of filling it with the stuff that fuels you. So that's the goal, is you're going to walk away with that. And then I got some cool bonuses in there. I've got some stress management tools, which includes breathing. And there's a lot about core values that you'll get as far as like bonuses too, because that's absolutely a foundational pillar in everything I do.
It sounds like this workshop that you're talking about, ditch the grind, is it you said?
It's the damn grind.
Ditch the damn grind. Like, so who's the target audience for this? Like, if like moms, dads, leaders, or just anyone who's on the grind, like what's the target audience for this?
So the primary target audience is going to be working moms, and specifically, like, I come from tech. So I'm not specific to saying like you have to work in tech to be someone who offers in a grind. God, Lord, the healthcare system is like on a whole other level where there are actually people dying on tables from the stress. But it's more so just it's working moms who are trying to embrace the juggle. And I mean, honestly, like where I come from, my mission is that I want to see more women in leadership roles, like across corporate, across anywhere, because I feel that a lot of times we as women we have ambitions for our career. And then a lot of times we feel that it's either we have to sacrifice having like a strong presence at home for a strong career or vice versa. And my whole mission is to help women redefine what that success looks like so that they can really have both, instead of fitting this mold of like we have to work in overdrive and you can't prioritize your family above your career if you want to excel in your career, because it doesn't work like that anymore. So that's kind of my target audience is definitely working moms. If you're a guy who is grinding away, I am more than happy to have you join. The more the merrier, honestly.
And when does this masterclass start?
It's March 20th at noon Pacific Standard Time. And it's free. And you get access to the replay and all the goodies as well.
Also, and if people are interested, like where would they go to sign up?
Yeah, you can go. Well, I'm on LinkedIn a lot. So you can find me, Jessica Lynn Berg. You can also go to my website, Jess Berg Coaching.
A slight pivot. Now you're also launching a 12-week accelerator for leaders. Can you talk to us more about that one too?
Yeah, so this is a new program. I've been doing one-on-one coaching for the last couple of years, specifically with professionals and helping them find balance. And I've worked with men and women both. And I'm starting to pivot more towards a group dynamic that is going to be combined with one-on-one. And the reason for that is because I have found personally the community aspect is so potent with connection, inspiration, and support that I want that to be a part of what my clients that I work with, that they experience. So it is a 12-week cohort, and it's called the Inner Leader. And the whole premise is that in order for you to really like lead in your career, it starts with how you lead yourself and lead your life. And it's broken out into 3 phases. So the first phase is really the foundation and creating structure, the space. So that's where the workshop kind of pulls pieces of that. The second phase is a reconnection to yourself. So this is where we kind of go deep and we address the saboteurs, the limiting beliefs, any of the fears that are holding back, and also like starting to allow yourself to receive, because that's one of the things that a lot of us struggle with the most is receptivity. And then the last phase is really your authentic success. So once you've aligned on your core values, once you've aligned on what you want your definition of success to be and what matters most to you, then you start to lean into that with like, we talk about growth mindset, we have goal setting, etc. So it's all encompassing. Is that the right word? How am I saying encompassing?
You got it.
It's all that. And it's broken into like every other week we'll meet as a group. And then I meet with each individual one-on-one, because some of the stuff that we talk about, it can get kind of deep. And there's some real blocks that we need to work through. So that's where the one-on-one in a more like intimate, private capacity is super effective.
So I definitely hear like your mission, your vision, and the things that you're doing to serve the world. I'm selfishly curious, what inspires Jessica? Like, what inspires Jessica to show up in the world the way that you show up?
Honestly, it feels like a soul-driven purpose I want to bring more light to freaking corporate America, because it is something that we all go throughout society just checking these boxes, and we think that it's a safe route, and we just do as we're told, and we sacrifice so much of our life. And a lot of us go into this thinking, I'm going to start, when I'm 65, I'll retire and then I'll start really experiencing life. But I've seen so many times where people hit that retirement and then within a couple of years, they get diagnosed with a deadly disease or something. Not to be morbid, but honestly, I see that enough for me to say, why do I have to wait till then to really truly start living? And that's where I am so empowered to help shift the way in which people define their success and how they pursue it and experience it, because it shouldn't be a I'm going to excel in my career and make money at the sacrifice of how I experience and live my life. They should be interwoven, and they should be integrated and supporting one another. And for me, it's if you aren't prioritizing your personal fulfillment, then your career it's not sustainable. Like, you have to use your personal fulfillment and your happiness as fuel for your career, and not the other way around. So that's really like my mission, my purpose, and that's what lights me up, is helping people shift the way in which they're experiencing their days.
Powerful. You talked about having community in this cohort that's coming up. Who are some of the mentors that get to pour back into you as you pour into others?
You mean as far as over the course of my life, or bringing it into the group program?
In the course of your life.
In the course of my life, oh God, my mentors. So it's interesting because specifically support women, specifically working moms, but I do have a lot of my mentors have been men. One of my favorite mentors I've ever had is this gentleman, Gary Ware. He was my boss in digital agency world, but now he helps corporations bring more play through improv exercises, and it really builds a team atmospheres. I have a significant amount of mentors that I've had in my life. That's hard to say. To pick one, it really is. And even some of my clients that I've seen put the freaking work in, and they're from too, those have been people that I want to bring in to share and shout from the mountaintops. Look at what this person did. You can do it too. And that's inspiring. So my kids inspire me. I don't know. There's so many. How do you pick? What about you?
I go as far as the most impactful and then I go proximity.
Oh.
So the most impactful mentor for me has been my mother. She's when she was alive, she was a Haitian immigrant who came into America. The American dream, worked her tail off so that I and my siblings can have this opportunity of pursuing the American dream. And then more consistently, the people who are in proximity are my coach for boxing. And then selfishly, it's secretly, it's the books that I read, like Tony Robbins. He doesn't know who I am, but I read his books and I see those individuals as my mentors. So proximity and impact.
I love that. And the mom one, that's huge. I didn't even touch on that. When did your mom pass?
2016.
Okay. That's hard. I'm sorry for that. My mom passed in 2022. And so when you talk about mentors, my whole, when she passed away, it became the catalyst for me to pursue my dreams. It was stuff that I'd always been thinking of. I feel like there's something different out there for me outside of corporate. I feel like, there's these things, I really want to help and impact the one to many. And then when she passed, it was I've heard that that's kind of an inflection point for people in a lot of ways. And it truly was for me. I remember sitting on the beach and I just started writing down everything that what I wanted to do. And I started pursuing it. And she's always been my cheerleader. Even up above, I feel her cheering me on, I'm sure you do too.
Yes, 100%. What would she be saying right now about the Jessica today, having had that inflection point that you've had?
She'd be saying how proud she was of me. I could even hear her, and that she'd be telling me to keep going, definitely. And when I grew up, I was an 80s baby. So there was still a lot of moms that didn't work, but my mom did. And that was one of the things that I loved that she showed me, is that having a career was never a question for me. It was why wouldn't I, just as being a mom was never a question for me. It was just it was innate in me. So I think for me, she's always been one of my strongest mentors.
That's powerful. Now, let's say there's a billboard that someone is going to work or coming from work, wherever they're going, and it's a blank canvas. I'm going to use your word, white space.
Yep.
And there's a affirmation, there's a quote, there's a saying that you get to put on this billboard. What would you want that to be for people to see?
Which quote do I pick? So there's actually a quote that I I would put on there, because it's one that I came across recently that is really profound. It said that no one ever tells you that bravery feels like fear. That, when I read that, I saw it in my yoga studio. It was just on one of like little signs, and I was like, oh my God. When I think about all the times that I've been on the edge of my comfort zone and I felt fear, because you're stepping into an unknown, you're stepping into something that's familiar, you got all the self-doubt and everything, and you still go forward anyways. That's bravery. Well, a lot of times we feel the fear and we see it as a stop sign, but instead that quote really kind of flips it a little bit, in the sense that it says when you feel the fear, it just means that you're about to expand past your known, which is growth. And that's bravery. And that to me is so powerful, because it changes the way in which we operate from fear. Don't let fear stop you. Let it, just acknowledge it and say like, okay, that means I'm growing. Go forward.
Oh, I'm going to have to like chew on that quote, because that's powerful.
Right?
Yeah. There's no one tells you that bravery feels like fear. And I remember one of my mentors have taught me, courage is not the absence of fear, but the presence of faith. So like fear is always present. Is what we do with it. Yeah. It can drive us or it can suppress us. So as I'm hearing the quote that you share, it resonates deeply. So I'm gonna have to wrestle with that one.
It just gave me goosebumps.
Let's go. All right. So individuals can connect with you on your website. Is it the Moonrock Wellness, or is there another one?
Well, I've recently changed it. So I rebranded. When that moment on the beach, when I'm having my epiphany after my mom passed, I started a wellness company. So it was yoga, breath work, sound healing, meditation. I'm also Reiki master. And I did that for working moms to fit into their busy schedule. And that's where Moonrock Wellness. And my mom loved the moon. She was my rock in my life. So that's kind of how it all came together. Then when I started going into coaching, it wasn't the exact same vibe. So it's just bergcoaching.com. With still some woo in there. Don't you worry. But the woo's still there.
Jessica, thank you for sharing your journey, your insights today, and like the things that drive you, your why. It's really, anyone can share, okay, the things that we do, but the thing that drives us is that thing, like your mom having that pivotal moment and then writing everything on the beach. I know our listeners are going to take away a lot today. So thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Awesome. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. You can connect with Jessica on LinkedIn at Jessica Berg. Until next time, stay clear, stay inspired, and keep designing your life with intention.